Hello and welcome to Lindsay Akashic channel. I am your host Lindsay, and today we are doing a live Akashic Records reading on the oceans. So I said the opening prayer prior to hitting record, and the questions that we'll be digging into today are always a foundational question: what are oceans from the Akashic Records perspective? How did oceans form? What support does the ocean provide for humans, animals, and plants? What support can humans provide the ocean? How do humans impact the oceans? How does climate change impact the oceans? What messages do the oceans have for us? And what's the most important message we need to know about the oceans? So let's get into it. So this will be a live reading. So in the first question, what are the oceans? I'm going to sit with it and see what the records have to say. They're being funny. So they're saying it's a tumultuously unstable, slippery place for humans. Let's see. And now they're just like SeaWorld. Another world, depths of the world, depths of oceans. They're like the cosmos, and then the oceans, they're like showing this like reflection, but obviously it's more shallow. But they're likening it to the expansion of the universe, but they're calling it like slower, the water, powerful, the waves, the impact, the movement. They're giving a sense of what it feels like to be like moving and swimming through water. Interesting. I'm just getting the senses of being swimming in water, and how it's kind of like, they're kind of like saying like in comparison to like being out in space, it's like swimming through jello. That's interesting. They just keep saying like slower, slow down, slower, slow down. Not vast, without the vastness, but with like the depth. Okay, let's see if there's anything else. What are oceans? Ooh, they just said underworld. Underworlds. Underwater worlds. Underworlds for creatures. Okay, next question. How did oceans form? How did oceans form? They're just like drops of water over millennia. How did oceans form? They're just saying that again. Drops of water forms over millennia. Nature elements. They're like condensation, rain, fog. They're just showing like different types of water elements, all the ways that water exists. And they're just saying over like millions of years, billions, millennia. But they're just showing like drops of water. Interesting. What support do the oceans provide for humans? They're saying life forms, other life forms. They're saying for food, for exploration, adventure. What support? I'm kind of getting more of like food support more than anything else. Exploration, adventure, travel. What support do the oceans provide for animals and plants? They're just like full, like life forms, full of life forms, animal planets, creatures, marine life, like full life forms, life of forms, forms of life, different aspects, all underworlds, underwater worlds, creatures. Okay. What support can humans provide the oceans? They're giving me the Beatles song Let It Be, and they're like, leave it alone. They're like exploration, exploring, adventure. They're kind of like, what are they saying? Multiple directions, directions of course. Traveling, exploration, adventures. And then they're kind of like, that's all, that's it. And they're saying like food support. They're saying highly contaminated, limited editions, limited availability, limiting. They're saying support of life. So what support can humans provide the ocean? Support of life. Okay, so they're saying replenish. So they're kind of showing like as if someone was going fishing and they caught a ton of fish in the net and then they pour them back out into the ocean. Like they don't keep them. They let them go. They're saying catch and release, but they're really just like stop catching. Let it be. They're playing the song. And they're saying like whisper words of wisdom. Let it be, let it be. And they're saying like support and sustainability for the planet. It's like, they're like touchdown, like touchdown, touchstone, touch point. But they're like something about like touching and like letting go. Again, with this like catch and release. Enjoyment, adventures, getting highly contaminated, not really, shouldn't be, no longer a food source. They're like for a while. They're like for like a new generation or for like a generation, it's kind of like you need that much time to like leave it alone, replenish it throughout a generation. And they're like, it's possible. Like this is possibly a new generation of wildlife and creatures once replenished. Interesting. They're saying new form of life, new forms of life in the oceans. Touchstone, touchdown, catch and release. Free release. Okay. How do humans impact the oceans? How do humans impact the oceans? They're saying like ferociously, feverishly, aggressively, and they're like tarnishing it. How do humans impact the ocean? Yeah, they're saying like feverishly, like competitive, competing with the ecosystems. Like, it's like almost like there's like a war against the ocean, like competing to like take everything out of it, right? So like guessing it's about like overfishing. So they're like competing and like pulling it all out, competing. And the ocean is like, all right, like you win, like chill, like you win. Like, I'm just getting like, this is like, you're so determined. Like, this is so detrimental to the planet. Like, I'm getting like, you win nothing. Like, you win nothing. Your competitiveness is, they're saying like, so stupid. They're saying like alternatives to food support, alternatives to food source. So stupid. Trapped in tradition, financial institutions, desperately seeking opportunities, options. And I'm just getting these are like falsehoods, like fixed on tradition versus like evolving and looking forward for food sources and food support. I'm getting like timed out, like time out, tap out, like that's enough. So how do humans impact the oceans? Quite negatively. How does climate change impact the oceans? How does climate change impact the oceans? They're kind of saying like humidity, humidify. I'm kind of getting this like sense of like a steam or like humidity kind of like hovering on over the oceans, this like heat. They're calling it like the stagnation in the air, the stagnancy in the air. How does climate change impact the oceans? More water. Okay, right. Okay, so then they're showing like the ice caps melting from the heat and that making the water levels rise. So this heat that's hovering over everything, it's creating, so they're kind of like heat creates movement, like heat creates transformation of like water vapor. So it does, like, they're just showing like all the ways that heat impacts everything and creates this like movement. Heat movement. They're kind of saying like a heater of the environment. Let me ask one more time. How does climate change impact the oceans? They're just saying the water floor, like the water levels rise. Okay, we know that. What messages do the oceans have for us, for humanity? What messages do the oceans have? Oh, they said sink or swim. Sink or swim. They're like water levels on the rise. Sink or swim. And I'm just seeing people like swimming on the surface of the water. As like, they're kind of saying like a normal level. Let's see. What messages do the oceans have for humanity? I know that's not really funny, but the visual was kind of funny. It was almost like they were kind of showing like, oh, like you're like getting to work. Like, how are you getting to work? Oh, I'm going to swim. Like, but they're saying sink or swim. Adapt. Adaptable. They're like change your behavior, change what you're doing, replenish the oceans, clean it up, figure it out, or you're going to need to be adaptable in the future. And that's why they're kind of showing this like joke, maybe sort of, depending on where you are, where, you know, things are underwater and people are swimming to work. Like, haha. They're kind of like, no joke, like it's no joke. They're saying like it's in your lifetime. So humanity as a whole right now, they're saying next generation, more likely next generation. They're just saying sink or swim. Remain adaptable. Preparation is key for the future, like understanding the waves. They're saying understanding the waves of consciousness and the interconnectedness of the waves of consciousness between people and planet. And they're kind of like, get it together. Get it together or be prepared. And they're kind of like, have the expectations for this sink or swim lifestyle. And they're kind of saying like, you're going to have to teach these new generations, these next generations, to have these expectations of these like tumultuous, now they're back to like water oceans, tumultuous for humans, these high levels of water. They're kind of saying not a level that you would like. What's the most important message that we need to know about oceans? What's the most important message we need to know about oceans? Finder, researching. What's the most? Exploration. Enjoy the seas for adventure and exploration. And they're showing someone with like that like opening and closing kind of telescope, like, I don't know if it's called a telescope, the little one. Showing someone on a ship, like looking out into the ocean. And they're saying like, it's for your enjoyment on the surface level. They're kind of like, enjoy it for exploration and adventure and travel. And like, it shouldn't be more than that. Like, that should be it. They're saying take advantage of the privilege of exploration, adventure, and travel versus the detrimental belief systems looking into the oceans for treasures and like food source and food support. They're saying like there's such a blind spot. They're kind of like, it's not a treasure chest. It's more valuable to the planet. I'm kind of like, to the people than to the people long term as a food source. The ecosystems underneath, the water world, the underworld. I'm getting, they need each other. They need each other. They're saying not much longer. They're showing as if like these levels, these water levels rising are going to have all of these like underwater sea creatures like almost like flooding to the surface and like dying. Like dying in mass and like almost like coming up to shore, like washing away onto shore. Like we're gonna start seeing more like dead marine life on shores. And I'm getting like, that's the sea warning. Like that's like, I'm getting that's like extinction level warning. When we start seeing the mass extinction of sea creatures washing up on shore, whoa, that's really scary that just happened. When we start seeing that, they're saying we're fucked. That's the most important message that the oceans have for us. If we start seeing mass extinction of sea creatures washing up onto shores, they're just saying we're fucked. So we don't want to get there. Well, that was pretty real, as always. Okay, that was the Akashic Records on oceans. I hope you learned something really valuable from that. And if you find this important and you'd like to pass on the messages, whether it's literally this video or just sharing what you've learned today with people that you know, spread the word. Yeah, pretty intense. So thank you for joining me. And I hope you found that helpful and useful. I sure did. A lot to think about now. And feel free to share your reactions or what you're thinking about, what this might have brought up for you in the comment section below. If you have other topics that you'd like me to open the records on, also feel free to share that in the comment section below, and also include your questions, and maybe I'll post a video for you. Until next time, be well.